Hello? Hello, hello? Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. No, okay. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. So, this is my first live stream ever, so like, I have no idea if my audio is going through. And chat's delayed, so I need to wait until chat says something to know if you can hear me or not. I would guess the answer's probably yes, hopefully. Okay, thank you, Marcus. So yeah, I'll officially start in 3 minutes, but this is a stream where I'm going to sort how good every Touhou character is at chess. For some context, I am a 1500 rated player by the UC, or the United States Chess Federation ranking system, so I'm pretty good. Not quite like master, that'd probably still be like a year or two of practice away, but I am pretty good at chess. Oh, I'm quiet, okay. Don't know if I can do anything about that, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I've played chess for around, I think, 14 years, so this is just an idea that's always been in my head, but I don't think it would work as a standalone video, just because the topic would be way too long. So I wanted to try doing a sort instead. Am I counting the abilities? Yes, I am. And I know some people were saying before, like, if you count the abilities, wouldn't Satori win every time? And the answer might surprise you, but we'll get to that. Only abilities that really matter, though, like, say, Cherno. Cherno can freeze stuff. That won't really win her a chess game. Versus someone like Tenchi. Tenchi has good luck. So, in a game against, like, weaker players in chess, luck would actually matter, since they aren't skilled enough to, like, see the correct possible moves. So, like, stuff like that can affect, like, how a character does in chess, but not other things. As for the background music, right now, my friend Wookie Walk, I just have his songs in loop in the background. If that runs out, I have another idea of music I can play. But yeah, I think this should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to doing my first ever live stream, so yeah. And it is 1 PM on my time now, so I think I will start the main sorts. Okay, so Kotohime and Hina. See, because Hina has the power of misfortune, so this is another thing I was talking about. Would the power of bad luck affect her opponent to the point that they lose? Then also, Kotohime. In canon, she's not a character we know much about, but if you are part of the Touhou Game Dev Hub, then you're probably familiar with the emotional journey Kotohime has gone through in certain games. I think I'd still go with Hina because of the luck factor. So that's her first one. Tsukasa versus Sarah. I think this very easily goes to Tsukasa. Tsukasa is like one of the sneakiest Touhou characters ever. I feel like everything she does is kind of a mini chess game. Rumiya versus Mike. Mike's focused on selling things, and Rumiya just wants to eat food, so I think that would just give Mike a slight edge. Sho versus the Great Catfish. The thing about Sho is really clumsy, so I can imagine her losing track of a move in chess easily, despite probably being able to get a good opening. Then also, I don't think the catfish has hands, so can the catfish really play chess is the other question. I'm going to go ahead and say this one is a tie. Decoder asks if characters can cheat. Characters can cheat if it's within the realm of their abilities. Like, they can't, like, freeze their opponents, but if they can, like I said, Satori can read people's minds. Fortune Teller versus Ellis. The Fortune Teller is, fucking dead. Ellis wins. Kaguya versus Yatsuhashi. Kaguya is a lot smarter than she lets on. I also think from, being an Aente all day, Oh, I forgot to mention this. This is based off of the assumption that, like, chess magically came to Gensokyo, and this is how everyone is, like, a month after practice. So Kaguya's stuck inside a lot. She has a tutor in the form of Eren, one of the smartest people in the world, so I think Kaguya is really good. Maribel versus Yuyuko. Yuyuko's also a lot smarter than she lets on, is the thing. Like, when she's serious, she can be serious. She also likes playing games, but I don't know. Maybe she gets bored from chess. So I think I would give this to Maribel. Reimu versus Mimi-chan. I'll explain Reimu later, but I think this one's obvious. Kane versus Satori. So here's where the Satori argument comes in. Because if Satori can read minds, then shouldn't she just automatically be able to counter her opponent's moves? But this is the thing. If she can read minds, she's still going to need to know how to counter her opponent. So, she might be able to, like, prevent her opponent from doing a tactic, but she might not know how to counter said tactic. I think Satori would have an edge, but against a good player, I think she would lose. So I think Kane is really smart, so I think Kane would be around, like, I don't know, 1500, yeah, or like 1600, so I think Kane wins. Patch versus Kokoro. This is another person I considered, because if we're going off the assumption that people have only been playing chess for a month, Patch is the rare exception, because Patch is from the West, so she would presumably already know what chess is. And she's also the smartest person of the Scarlet Devil Mansion cast. So I think Patch would be really good. So that's why I would put her over Kokoro. Moko versus June. Moko is also really smart. I think she's also has the immortality thing, where she probably has enough time to play chess. She's a bit reserved, so it would fit her personality well. June's able to come up with the plan about Shion, but I would not peg her as someone who's good at chess, so I think I'd go Moko. Yuma versus Komachi. Komachi gets bored, but Yuma's Yuma. Yuma does lead the beasts. I would put this as a tie. Shingyoku versus Wriggle. We don't know anything about Shingyoku, so I'm just going to give this to Wriggle by default. Yumeko versus Yuki. You see, Yuki is really naive, because, yeah, she doesn't see what Mai's about to do. Meanwhile, Yumeko's like a commander. I think I would give this to Yumeko. Ellie versus Hecatea. Hecatea is really, really smart. Like, it's kind of insane. The amount of knowledge she has, like, she's able to successfully get Aya to stop publishing a tabloid. Like, to get Aya to stop publishing anything, you need a really good argument. And that's what Hecatea offers to the table. Moo. Sagame versus Daiase. Very easily Sagame. Sagame's entire thing in LoL is just trying to plan her way to victory. Cherno versus Sariel. Here's the thing. Cherno's just going to lose no matter how hard she tries. Save for one person later, I think. I don't think there's much she can do, so I'm gonna give this to Sariel. Ron versus Atate. Ron does like to do a lot of planning on her own, But then if you've read the recent chapters of Foul Detective Satori, Hatate had, like, this 4D plan. She, like, exposed Aya in the newspaper, did all the research. I think Hatate is really, really smart, so I'm going to go Hatate. Mai versus Ellen. Mai is evil, she is crafty, she uses other people to her own advantage. She would do really well in chess. I'm going Mai. Seiya versus Yumemi. Would Seiya just lose on purpose is the question. But either way, I think Yumemi wins because Yumemi is a genius. Kogasa versus Akyu. I'm sorry, Kogasa. You got paired against one of the smartest people in Gensokyo. It has to be Akyu. Seiran versus Koishi. Can you even play chess against Koishi? But then that's the thing. Because with Koishi's thoughts, I don't know if her attention span would keep up long enough to play chess properly. So maybe against Koishi, everyone just wins by default, so I'd go Seiran. Sunny Milk versus Yukari. Okay, that's Yukari easily. Tokiko versus Yoshika. A bird brain versus a literal zombie. I think it's said when Seiya isn't controlling Yoshika, she reverts back to her original personality. She was a writer, which means she was really smart. So I'm going to give this to Yoshika. Lunasis versus Junko. Junko's really mad. She's fairly smart if she's able to get the moon plan through. Lunasa is not the crafty one of her sisters. She's very reserved. I think I'd give this to Junko. Does Seiya manipulate Yoshika? Good question. That's the other thing though. Seiya is really smart, so I think either way, if it's Seiya or Yoshika, both of them would win. Flan versus Star. Flan, out of any character, I think Flan's the one who is a lot smarter than she seems from the face value. I think Flan would be really, really good at chess, actually, so I would put Flan over Star. Clown Piece versus Ichirin. That's Ichirin. Meira versus Narumi. Narumi's one of the magicians. She also attacks Marissa, like, bluntly, so... in that regard, she's a little, like, reckless, but... I have faith in her intelligence. She can also beat the homophobe. Yorihime versus Gengetsu. I feel like it's unfair to put the Moon Sisters against anyone. But Gengetsu helps manage her own world. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the Moon Sisters, so I think I'll go Tai for now. Sorry, Zara. Takane versus Lyrica. This is a really interesting matchup. You have Takane, who was... okay, spoiler alert. Takane is the real villain of Touhou 18.5. She managed the entire black market. To pull that off, it takes real smarts, like, that's insane levels of planning. But then with Lyrica, Lyrica is said to be the brains behind the Prism River Sisters. She, like, goes out of her way to plan things out, to get other people to do what she wants. She knows how to think ahead, and to foresee what people are going to do. I think this match would be really close, but I would give the edge to Takane. Mioi versus Benben. Does Mioi use her ability? I'm going to say that's allowed. Okay, hang on. WookieWalk's thing went to something else. I would do the other thing I was thinking of. Give me a second. Earlier today, I forget their name. Yeah, Touhou, or not Touhou YouTuber, but the musician JX. They published all of their Mega Man Touhou 7 arranges into one video, so I was gonna use this as background music. So, that's what I'll do now. I am fine with 17 people, because this is a very niche topic. I was expecting like 3, and like, streams are a lot harder to attract people to than videos, so it's fine by me. But yeah, I think Mioi wins. Luis versus Nazarin. I have gone on record saying how much I like Luis. I don't think she's that smart. Nazarin is really smart. I'm going to go Naz. Shingyoku versus Raiko. Come on. Hina versus Konraga. Okay, we have another repeat. I think Hina wins again, just because we don't know much about Konraga. Kodahime versus Konraga. We know more about Kodahime too. Shion versus Unzund. I think no matter how hard Shion tries, she will never win a game of chess. It's a sad reality, but I think that's the truth. Tsukasa versus Kurumi. Tsukasa. Okay. Sarah's like really, really stupid, so maybe it's Kurumi. I'll just go Kurumi. Kisume versus Yamame. Kisume doesn't do anything, but Yamame is also really aggressive. I don't think either of them are very good, but Yamame is probably better. Shikieki versus Mike. Shikieki's insanely smart. That goes to her. Inuroko versus Rukoto. I mean, Rukoto is a robot, right? So... But she's a bad robot, like she doesn't work right, so maybe Minaroko. Sho versus Mugetsu. Mugetsu also helps manage an entire world, I'll give it to Mugetsu. Hanako versus Mima. Mima's a trickster, she doesn't think things out. Kaneko runs a nuclear fusion reactor. It is Kaneko. Ellis versus Kagoru. It's Kagoru. Kageru? Kageru is probably the proper way to say it. Kagero. Kagero. I'd say Kagero, probably. Nitori versus Misumaru. These are both extremely smart characters. Misumaru knows everything about everyone. Nitori is just insanely smart. She can build stuff. I'm going to say this is a tie. Kaguya versus Evil Eye Sigma. Evil Eye Sigma doesn't have hands. Doremi versus... I don't know much about Hiso. I'd still say Doremi wins. Doremi's entire thing in LoL K, if she is playing a game of chess against Sagume, like, the entire game is just them going back and forth to see who can piss each other off more. So Doremi. Maribel versus Yugi. Yugi is not one for chess. I think Maribel takes this. Yuyuko versus Yugi. This is probably Yuyuko. I think Yuyuko's mind is built better for it. Not built better, more so, it's like more acclimated for a game like chess. Irumi versus Medicine. I would say Irumi is probably smarter than Medicine. Medicine probably starts losing and then tries to poison you. Reimu versus Mai. Mine... Yeah. I don't think Mai and Satano can really think for themselves. And here's the Reimu thing. Reimu's intuition carries her far. Like, even without studying chess, which she'd presumably be too lazy to, she would just instinctively know what moves are good and what aren't, and that would carry her fairly far in the world of chess, so I would give this to Reimu. Mimi-chan's still not winning, I'm sorry. Yugen Magen also doesn't have hands. Suwako versus Kane. Suwaku's pretty smart, but I think I'd still give this to Kane. But Suwaku kind of runs things behind the scenes. Maybe this is a tie. Orin versus Yomu. I'm sorry, Yomu. I don't think you're winning that many games. Patch versus Racin. I think this is another Patch easily, because, again, Patch has probably played chess before. Kokoro versus Racin. I think Racin is pretty smart. She's able to sort things out really well in low K. Like, she knows the moon politics. She has training from the moon. Chess seems like a Lunarian game. I'd give it to Racin. Suika versus... I'm just gonna say Waka. I had to read her full name out for a script and I hated it. Suika's really smart. She's drunk, but I think, like, if she's trying, then she would do well, and if she's not trying against someone like Waka, I think Suika still wins. Moko versus Tay. Tay is terrifyingly smart. Like, she is up there as one of the smartest people in Gensokyo. I think Tay wins this easily. Eika versus Kosuzu. It's Kosuzu. She's going to be good at chess. Yuma versus Keiki. I think this pretty easily goes to Keiki. Keiki kind of creates her own pawns with her powers, so... Sanyo versus Kyoko. That's Sanyo. Sanyo runs a gambling den. I'm willing to bet that she would be good at board games. Rigo versus Momoyo. These are both Touhou characters who are considered not the sharpest tools in the shed. But you have to remember, Momoyo was digging things, and in exchange for digging them, she got a part of the things she dug, instead of just taking them. So, it'd be like for every 3 dragon gems she dug, she would get 1, instead of, you know, just taking all of them. I think Momoyo loses easily. I think even then we don't know anything about Shingyoku, Shingyoku is going to win against Momoyo because it's Momoyo. No, Shinyomaru is not winning chess. There's literally no way. The only person she would win against is Seija. Yumeko versus Merlin. Merlin is very emotional. I don't think that would do her well in chess. Again, Yumeko is a maid. It's probably really smart. Yeah, Momoyo is a wage slave, which does fit in with the themes of capitalism. But the other thing is, specifically, she is meant to be really, really stupid. Yuki versus Merlin. These are two very emotional people, but I think Merlin would have the advantage of having a practice partner against, That is a very good point. Shimi could pretend to be a pawn, and that would get her far. She would just stand on the board. Yeah, but I think Merlin, because Merlin has Lyrica to train with. Yakurin versus Kikuri. Yakurin is a magician. She's fairly smart. She's not as smart as her rival, and trust me, we'll get to her rival. But she should win this. Hekatia versus Rika. Rika's really smart. Rika built a tank. She was an extra stage boss. But I think against the Goddess of Hell itself, Hekatia would probably still win. Ellie versus Rika, but like this goes to Rika, no problem. Futo versus Mayumi. I was waiting to get to Futo. I think no matter how hard Futo tries, Futo will always lose to the 4-move checkmate no matter what. She'll try different ways to avoid it, and she will never find a solution. She will always lose to the 4-move checkmate, because that's just how Futo is. So, Mayumi wins easily. Ringo versus Sagame. Again, Sagame easily. I think Ringo is probably smarter than Daiusei, though. Yuka versus Mamizu. You know, Yuka on her own would probably do alright, but this is Mamizu we're talking about. She solves Touhou 13.5, essentially. She's in all the manga because she's insanely smart. she's friends with one of the smartest characters in Touhou. I think Mamizu wins. Sario versus Tenshi. Tenshi has luck on her side, and chess is a game where at the top level, there is no luck. So the better the opponent she faces, the harder it is for her to win, but that luck is still going to carry her far enough, so I think that would give her the edge against Sario. Larva versus Numeno. I think Numeno, yeah. I think Numeno would just win by default, kind of. Megumu versus Hatate. You have possibly the smartest bird Tengu against the leader. Megumu does come up with the plan, but Hatate might be royalty because of the purple coloring and the Hime, meaning princess. I'm going to put them on equal footing. Sekibanki versus Parsi. Parsi, with her jealousy, like within her own thoughts, she is always internally debating with herself about chess. Or not chess, but just like about people. I think from like overcomplicating everything because of how jealous she is, that would mean she would be well suited for chess, so I'm going to give Parsi this victory. Alice versus Mai. Mai's really crafty, as I said before, but here's the thing about Alice. By the way, Alice's theme is playing right now. Alice fights not to be more powerful, but to use strategy. Her fights are based around trying to outthink her opponent. And she's already based from a Western setting. Because of that, I think Alice is really good at chess. Lily White versus Letty. Letty's going to take this. Umemi versus Sakia. Here's a Sakia thing I wanted to mention. Sakia can freeze time, which would theoretically give her unlimited time to, like, think. But I don't think Sakia would be able to think of the right move. I think she would freeze time, but still not be able to figure out what to do. So that's why I would give it to Umemi. Seija versus Sakia. Against Seija, though, I think Sakia might be smart enough to win. Marissa versus Yachi. Marissa's a bit more thoughtful than she lets on, but she's very impulsive, so I think I'd give this to Yachi. Aku versus Chiuri. Chiuri's really smart. I think Aku's smarter. They're both in similar situations, though, of two young characters being super smart. Kogasa, you're not winning against Chiuri, I'm sorry. This is the big one. Momiji plays shogi, which is a Japanese evolution of chess. Just from playing shogi alone, Momiji's brain is already well prepared for chess, and she would be one of the best players, if not the best players, of chess in Touhou. So, I'm going to give this to Momiji. Seiran versus Kasen. This is Kasen we're talking about. I mean, come on. Kasen's winning this. She's the Sage of Gensokyo. Eren versus Sumireko. You're not beating Eren. Eren's always going to win. At least at this point. Yukari versus Shizuo. Yukari easily. Little Sister versus Prankster Fairy. On one hand, I don't think Shizuo is known for being that smart. On the other hand, it's a Prankster Fairy. Shizuo. Vermilia versus Chimata. I think Vermilia pretends she's really good at chess, but she's secretly really bad and also a really poor sport. This is Chimata's win. Yoshika versus Saki. We had the thing about Saki, where she'd probably be smart and controlled by Seija, really smart. I think Saki kind of got outplayed by, Yachi, so I think I'll give this to Yoshika. The bird isn't beating. This is another really interesting match. These are both schemers. Like, characters who plan things way out in advance. They're both characters who would probably love chess because of all the trickery involved. Seigo would play a ton of gambits, trick her opponent into thinking they're winning, and then she would strike at the right moment. Okina would set, like, all of her positioning perfectly. This is one of the great battles. And who is the winner? Seigo successfully got immortality. Okina, however, has accomplished something many others haven't, which is, at the end of Touhou 16, she technically wins. It isn't until the extra stage that she's defeated. And for that reason, I'm going to give the win to Okina. Juko versus Utsuho isn't winning. That's just a given. Sanai versus Aya. Aya's really smart. Like, she manipulates stuff for a living. I think she's winning against Sanai. Nue versus Flan. This is the other thing where I think Flan is a lot smarter than she appears from the surface. What Nue did do is she did disguise herself and do the prank. She was smart enough to call Mamizu, so she has Mamizu as a practice partner. Now, Flan is Patch. And because of that, I think Flan still wins. Nue wins against Star Sapphire, though. Star Sapphire's not winning. Is it funny that I think Genji would win this? I think Genji's going to win this. Ichirin versus Luna Child. Ichirin. Clown Piece versus Luna Child. This is a tie. Lorelei versus... Okay, Rikaku's doing really good. That's a given. She's going to go fairly high in this. Manga Racing versus Naomi. Manga Racing is still learning how to be independent. I think she would be trapped in chess theory. She wouldn't have a playstyle of her own, but she wouldn't be good enough to use the chess theory, so I would give this to Narumi. I am very sorry, gay people. I think Meira takes this. Shinki versus An. An's adorable, but... I mean, it's Shinki. She manages an entire country. I'm not going to say you have to be smart to do that, but I think Makai is fairly well managed. Oh, wait. Yorihime versus Satono. That's the other thing of the, no free will, so I think Satono doesn't win. Tojiko versus Rinanosuke. Rinanosuke is really good at chess. That's a given. He probably, like, plays chess against himself for fun. Orange versus Takane. What's Orange going to do against anyone is my question. Lyrica's winning, as I explained earlier. Lyrica's the schemer. Chen versus Han Mei Ling. These are both characters who I wouldn't say would be acclimated for chess. But Chen kind of has a cat brain, so maybe Mei Ling wins. Miko versus Mioi. Miko's another big character. I think Miko is really... She's going to go far in chess. Because I think unlike Aiden, Miko would be determined to be the best. So she would learn the game inside out and be insanely good. I think it meshes well with her personality too. So I think Miko takes this easily. Taka versus... This is unfair. Nazrin versus Iku. Iku's pretty smart. She has to manage Tenchi. Like, you've gotta have a lot of grit and be pretty smart to know how to deal with Tenchi. Raiko versus Hina. Hina has the bad luck factor, but I think Raiko is shrewd enough. She got her power from the outside world. I think Raiko is shrewd enough to power through. I would give this to Raiko. But this is another case of don't know much, so the other character wins. Yeah. I'll just have this as a tie, I think. Tsukasa wins, Tsukasa plans. Can Unzan grab the pieces? I'm going to say Unzan probably could grab the chess pieces, so I'll go ahead and give this to Unzan. Shion's not winning. Shion's not winning. Shikiyeki wins against Yamame easily. I think we can all agree on that. Mike against Yamame. I think Mike wins because of the aforementioned. She has to manage a shop. That takes a bit of effort. Rumiya versus Yamame. Yamame would win this though. I don't think Rumiya's going far. Here's the thing. We know Rumiya is a bit dull. We don't know anything about Kisame, so I think from a default standpoint, Kisame might actually be smarter. So I'm gonna go Kisame. Mugetsu manages the world. She beats Minaroko. Sho is clumsy, but she is still decently smart, so I would give her the edge over Minaroko. Yes, Unzan can punch. Maybe he punches his way to victory. Kaneko wins this. Mima did teach Marissa her magic, so I think I would give Mima the win here. Nitori versus Kaguya? I think Nitori's intelligence just wins her this game. I don't think there's much Kaguya would be able to do. Doremi versus Maribel. There's a thing about how Doremi is more powerful, or she acts like she's more powerful than she actually is. Because the scope of her powers in the Land of Dreams... Like, a dream is just a dream. To rule over a dream isn't as impressive as ruling over an actual world. Maribel can invade dreams. I think this might be a tie, actually. I think Yuko wins against Soku. Does Soku win against Yugi? Maybe. Reimu has the aforementioned luck factor, she's going far. Mai doesn't have free will. Murasa's decently smart, but again, it's Kane. I think Kane's winning this. Satori reads minds. So against someone like Nitori, I think even though Satori can read her mind, I don't think that will take her far, because Satori wouldn't know what to do to counter Nitori's moves. And a character that smart would also take the fact that Satori can read minds into account and think against her. So I think this would go to... I think this would still go to Satori though, because she's probably smarter than Murasa. Patch versus Orin. Again, Patch has probably played chess. Racing wins. I don't think Orin is that smart, honestly, so I would give this to Kokoro. Tay, again, Tay is terrifyingly smart. She swindles Kasen. Like, what does it take to swindle Kasen? Like, that's scary. Moko versus Suika. I think Suika would take this one. It'd probably be a fairly close match. Moko wins against Waka, though. June probably wins against Waka just because she has one more feat of, like, trickery that Waka doesn't, so... From, like, default stats, we are to assume that June's probably a bit smarter. Keiki versus Kosuzu. Kosuzu is a bit in over her head, but she reads a lot of books. She is pretty smart. I would give this to Kosuzu. I think Keiki wins against Eika, though. Okay, Yuma versus Eika. I think Yuma wins this. Sanyo wins, because Sanyo has the gambling parlor. Rigo versus Kyoko. I think Rigo commands bugs, so... I think that takes a fair degree of intelligence, so I would give this to Rigo. Keiki created chess. That is a good point. Probably fairly well. This is another default thing where I think Kyoko takes this. The Maid of Makai versus the Princess of the Moon. And the Princess of the Moon was trained by Eren. The Maid of Makai was trained by Shinki. I think the Princess of the Moon is going to take this. Shinomaru is not winning. No. No. Hecate versus Byakuren. Byakuren is wise, but her biggest strength lies in her emotions. For that reason, I think Hecate wins here. Rika wins because she's an engineer. I think she'd just do better at chess. You know, I think the Buddha, chess was actually one of his banned games, too. So maybe Byakuren wouldn't exactly be good at this. She would win against Ellie, though. Ellie is just a servant. But Ellie is the servant of Yuka, which is why I think she wins against Kikuri. Sagame versus Mayumi. Sagame is really smart. Ringo versus Mayumi. Mayumi directly serves right under Keiki. I think Mayumi takes this. I will reiterate once again. Fudo just loses to the 4-move checkmate no matter what. No matter how hard she tries, she is never going to win against the 4-move checkmate. Tenchi versus Mamizu. Mamizu's winning. You can't outsmart Mamizu. Yuka versus Tenchi. Extreme luck versus raw skill. I think this is a tie, honestly. Hatate versus Namuno. Again, Hatate in most recent Cheating Detective Satori, she pulled off some really wild schemes. Hatate wins. Ron has quite a bit of smarts from working with Yukari. Like, she became a Shinigami to kind of seek some knowledge. I think Ron wins. So, thoughts of a magician versus the thoughts of a jealous person. These people both think super far ahead. The difference is, Alice is primed for chess. She wants to win. Parsi lets all of these things cloud her mind. I don't think she'd necessarily want to win unless she was jealous of someone else. Which she would be, but I don't think it'd be a big enough jealousy to give her the edge to power through and win. Mai versus Parsi is a very similar situation, though. With Mai, you have someone who's... Yeah, with Mai, you have someone who's betrayed her friend. She was, like, thinking about how she'd do better on her own. She has more complex bullet patterns. Parsi, you have someone who thinks all the time. I think I'll give this to Mai. I would give this to Parsi, though. Ellen does have the cat. Sekibonki still. Imami's a genius. Sakia is winning against Letty. Again, does Seija lose on purpose? She might. Or Seija just goes for stalemates to try to piss everyone off. Or she goes for timeouts. I'll give this a tie. Aku versus Yachi. I think Aku wins this. Shiori wins this. Kogista, I'm really sorry. I don't think you're winning much today. Kassen versus Momiji. Kassen is really smart. But again, Momiji has played Chogi, and she can see 1,000 ri ahead. She's going to foresee so many different moves. Momiji is going to do really well. So, Momiji. Kokuma is directly under Pacioli, so she'd probably be pretty good, but she's against the stage against Okio. Because she's right under Patch, I would give her the win over Seiron. Here's the thing. Both of these characters are really smart. They would probably match wits with each other. But, I think given a game of chess, Yukari would get bored first. And I think Eren would be more interested. So that's why I think Eren wins in a game of chess against Yukari. I don't think Sumireko can beat Yukari, though. I think Yukari is just too smart. She can beat Chizuha, though. Sumireko is pretty... She's pretty bright, considering her age. Like, she's immature, but she's intelligent. Shimata versus Yoshika. Shimata kind of goes back and forth with Megemu, but I think, honestly, Megemu still kind of has the edge, so... I would give this to Yoshika. Saki versus Shimata. Saki is a bit blunt. I think Shimata wins. Remilia versus Saki. Again, I think Remilia thinks she's good, but she isn't, so I give this to Saki. Remilia beats a bird brain, though. Junko wins. Sega wins. Flan versus Aya. Oh, you missed that. So when Yoshika isn't controlled by Sega, who is already really smart, she reverts back to her original personality. Her original personality was that of a writer. So she was already really smart. So she would be able to do against chess. So, Flan versus Aya. I think Flan is fairly smart. I think Aya still takes this. Sanai versus Flan. I don't know if chess would necessarily go well with Sanai's personality, but she does seem like someone who would have been on her school's chess team. I don't know. Or I guess in Japan, maybe it's shogi. Well, in Japan, I think competitive shogi players are like old guys, though, so... I'm going to say tie for now. Genji wins. Genji's going to win that. I think Ichiran wins here, though. I don't think Clown is winning. Rikako is insanely smart. Rikako's winning. Mistia, you're not winning against many people. Again, I'm sorry, gay people. Miro wins this. Moon Princess versus, Shinki. You know, I think Toyohime would probably give this one. I think here I'm going to give it to Shinki. Bishop A5. Bishop A5. I don't think that's attacked by much. Queen of D8 is just a trade. You're really nice. I don't think you're winning much in chess, I'm sorry. You can win against people who don't have free will, though. Well, I guess that's not fair, because that's the Yoshika argument. Here's the thing. Mai and Titano are just such nothing characters that you can't really say who's smarter than the rest. I'll compromise and say it's a tie. Takane versus Rinanosuke. Rinanosuke, again, he'd probably be good at chess. Takane planned out the entire black market incident. I think I'm gonna give the edge to Rinanosuke. But Takane definitely beats Tojiko. Lyrica is a steamer, she beats Tojiko. We don't know anything about Orange. Did you know that Orange is one of the only Touhou characters where you cannot learn her name? In Reimu's campaign, she straight up doesn't get the chance to tell Reimu her name. So, the entire time, the game just calls her question mark, question mark, question mark. We don't know anything about Orange. I'm giving this to Tojiko. Miko is winning this. There's no way she isn't. Mioi has her powers. I think Mioi uses that to her advantage to trick her opponent. Mei Ling against Benben. Benben and Yatsuhashi. We don't know much about them either. We know more than Orange, but not much against. So, I give this to Mei Ling. I think they probably beat a cat, though. Someone brought this up. Renko is a physicist. She is primed to do well in chess. But I think she would also kind of get sucked up in the moments eventually. And maybe she would play recklessly. Even still, I would give Renko this win. Kutaka, you're not winning. Nazrin plans stuff out. She's the one who, like, sneaks around for show. Honestly, there's a fair argument that Naz is smarter than Sho in a few regards. I'd give this to Naz. Louise is not smart. She is smarter than a bird. This is a weird situation, to where I think there's people who could probably beat Raiko, but I think Raiko's earnestness would allow her to get past any traps that Tsukasa would set, if that makes sense. This is probably a bit biased, but I'm going to give this to Raiko. Tsukasa... I think Tsukasa's able to overpower bad luck, though. Unzan is not known for being smart, he's not known for being stupid, but I don't think he would be able to get past against bad luck. I think against Konohime, maybe I would give this a tie. We don't know anything about them. Mugetsu versus Shikieki. I think Shikieki wins this. Shikieki is insanely smart. She manages right and wrong. Technically in chess there is none. But like with the balance philosophy, maybe Shikieki has that in her strategy. Like she goes for trades. Mugetsu manages the world, Mike doesn't. That's fair and simple. I'll copy that. Sho versus Mike? Okay. I've been talking about Sho how she's clumsy, but she still has a fair degree of intelligence. I think Sho would be able to win here. I think Mike wins against Minaroko. But Minaroko probably wins against Yamame. Yamame doesn't have much. Rikoto is a robot that doesn't work. If Rikoto has a chess engine installed, it's going to malfunction. Yamame's winning. Same goes for Kisame. This might be a draw. That's the funny thing. I think Nitori is smarter than Kaneko. I think the Kappa would successfully be able to outsmart Moria Shrine given the right circumstances. So I am going to give this to Nitori. Kaguya versus Kaneko. Kaguya does have a practice partner against Arian, but I feel like Kaneko's brain is already filled to the brim with tricks, so I think Kaneko wins. Mima versus Kaguya. Kaguya wins this. Kaguya, again, yeah, trained by Eren. Mima wins against Yatsuhashi, though. Yatsuhashi is focused on... She's a bit reckless. She wants to attack the protagonist in Touhou 14. Like, she's ready to go in there. She's powered by her emotions. But in chess, that can cost you a game. It will let you last longer, but it's not going to let you win exactly. I'm going to give this to Kagoru. I think we talked about why Ellis probably loses. But again, Evil Eye Sigma doesn't have hands. Fortune Teller is dead, but he has hands. So, he's probably going to do better. Here's where we get to it. I think Reimu's luck can carry her far, but I think Maribel's finally at the point where even if she finds good moves with her intuition, Maribel would still be able to outsmart her because of how smart she is. So I'd give this to Maribel. Against Yuko, I think Reimu probably has... I don't think Yuko has the drive. I think she could potentially beat Reimu, but she'd have to be trying, and I don't think she would. So I would give this to Reimu. She does beat Arumi, though. And Arumi beats the robot. I don't know if the robot beats anyone. Honestly. We've got a deathmatch. But you know what determines this one? That's right. Mimi doesn't have hands. Patch versus Kane. I think Kane is smart, but I think, again, Patch probably having prior experience with chess. That's probably going to give Patch the edge in this situation. I think Kane is smarter than Racing, though. A mind reader against a fairly smart person. I think this is a tie. Kokoro versus Minamatsu, or Murasa. I think Murasa is smart enough to beat Kokoro. I do. Kokoro probably has practice against Miko, which is good. But I think Murasa is pretty smart to get her way all the way through Touhou 17.5. Yugen Magen doesn't have hands. Even Yomu's beating that. Again, Tei is one of the most terrifying forces in Gensokyo. Even though Kosuzu's smart, I think Tei is winning this. I think Kosuzu and Suika... Honestly, I think Suika would kind of let Kosuzu in for some weird Oni reasons, to like, teach her some sort of weird lesson. Murasa does drive his ship, but so does Futo. And it's like, I don't know if you can use that as a comparison. I think Keiki would still win here. Suika probably would beat Yuma, though. Yuma got corrupted by the oil. I don't think Moku got corrupted by the elixir, though. They're both in a similar situation. And I would say their intelligence levels are probably... Nah, it's probably Moko. Again, Jun did the one cool thing. Yuma runs, like, an organization. I think this is Yuma. Jun probably beats Eiki, though. Waka versus Eika. Waka's a princess, we don't see her do much. Eiko died as a child. Or she represents dead children. But chess is kind of... Chess is a game I would associate with childhood, so maybe that does give her an edge. Toyohime versus Sanyo. I think the Moon Princess is too much. Yumeko versus Sanyo. I think being directly under Shinki and being Western inspired would give Yumeko a bit of an edge. June gambles, that's a fair point. I'll keep that in mind. Again, Sanyo runs the gambling den. She is, by definition, a gamer. Out of all the Touhou characters, she is perhaps... No, that's not true. If you were to rank Touhou characters based on how much of a gamer they are, Sumireku would be first, Sanae would be second, then it'd be like Maribel, Renko, Yukari, because Yukari knows what a Game Boy is, and then you have Momiji, because Momiji plays Shogi, and then you have Sanyo at 7th. Sanyo is the 7th raddest gamer in Gensokyo, which is why she beats Merlin. Bugs versus Merlin. I think Merlin wins because she can practice with Lyrica. Oh yeah, Neat Kaguya, that is a thing. Yuki's not winning. I think these are both characters who are kind of headstrong, so in that sense... But Kyoko doesn't get tricked. Yuki does. Kyoko. And we do not know enough about you. We do know enough about you, though, to say that Shinimaru is not winning. What? An unstoppable force versus an immovable object? This is a stoppable force versus a movable object. Who loses first? What do we do? I'm going to use the argument that Shinimaru could potentially replace a piece that she loses, and Momoyo would be too stupid enough to not think that's against the rules. And because of that, Shinimaru takes this victory. Sagame versus Hecatea. Technically in Low-K, Sagame wins, and Juko's plan, which was partially organized by Hecatea, loses out. So, I'm going to give this to Sagame. Momoyo eats the chessboard. Yes, but here's the thing. I think Shinimaru would be so determined that that wouldn't stop her from surrendering. Hecatea probably beats Mayumi, though. Rika beats Mayumi. Byakuren probably beats her. Mayumi probably beats Ellie, though. Mayumi's right under Keiki, who I would say is probably smarter than Yuka. Ringo is smart enough to ditch Earth. Or to ditch the moon. And that isn't just nothing. It takes a lot of guts for a moon rabbit to realize that Earth is better. So because of that, I'm going to say Ringo would win a game of chess. Like, I think just being smart enough to have the foresight to see that Earth is a better place to live gives her a bit of an edge. Ellie wins against Daisei. I think Daisei wins against Kikiri because Kikiri might not even be a person. Again, Fudo loses against the 4-move checkmate. Fudo's not winning. Hatate, I've said how smart you are throughout this entire thing. Mamizu's winning. Mamizu is too smart for you. You are smarter than Tenchi, though. I think Tenchi beats Namuno, though. Sario versus Namuno. Sario technically is, an organizer of an incident, and not in the Shinyamaru way. Well, I guess technically Seija does that. I'd say Sario does this. Cherno is not winning chess. A super genius versus someone who's probably, like, really into chess. But you may need chases after magic. She isn't as interested in traditional shows of knowledge, and in that sense, chess is one of them. I think because of that, Alice probably takes this one. I think Yumemi's beating Mai, though. I think Mai beat... I think Sakuya would be able to see through Mai's tricks, so Sakuya probably would win here. You have two of the biggest assholes in Touhou fighting against each other here. What would Seija do? What would piss Mai off? I don't know, maybe Seija guilt trips her about betraying Yuki, and then uses that to win to just emotionally devastate her, and that gives Seija the edge. I'm giving this to Seija. Lily is not winning much. Even here, I think Lily's not. Akiu's really smart. Momiji sees thousands of Ri ahead. That lets her see moves ahead, and she plays Shogi. Momiji wins. Kasen versus Akiu. This is a match. Akiu has an insane capacity for knowledge, including chess. But Kasen almost solves the urban legend incident by herself. She comes up with a 10-year plan to get Reimu to defeat her arm. I think Kasen is a bigger schemer, so I think Kasen wins. Akiu probably beats Kokuma, though. Chiri probably wins. Yachi wins here. I think even with Pachi's training, I think Marissa would probably still do better in a chess match. Kogasa, I'm really sorry. I still don't think you're winning much. Here's a game you can win Kogasa against, though. Again, Koishi's thoughts mean she probably cannot, like, process an entire game of chess. They just keep bouncing around. I think that would be enough for Kogasa to take a victory, finally. Aaron's beating Yoshika. Yukari's beating Yoshika. I think Sumireko is smart enough to get behind Yoshika's, writing. Yeah, I would give this to Sumireko. Before you ask about, could Sumireko beat Shibata? I think she could. I think Shibata's knowledgeable in the markets. I don't know how well that would translate to chess. I think Yoshika does beat Shizuo. Yeah. Shizuo is not winning much. She wins against the bird, though. This match would go on for 5 hours, and everyone would get bored and stop watching, and they would still be at it. Okina wins. Aya may be a bit sneaky, but Okina is like... yeah. There's not much Aya's gonna be able to do against Okina. Sega is another character where she schemes a lot, so I think here Sega would probably take the victory. Io wins against Junko though. Junko's too mad to focus. That's what I think. Junko is not losing against Star Sapphire. I don't even think Oku is losing against Star Sapphire. That's how outclassed I think the Prankster Fairies are. Everyone, I think Genji has finally met his match, and I'm going to give him the first loss of this sort against Rikako. But I do think Genji would be just good enough to beat Narumi. Narumi would probably be Ichiran, though. Ichiran's defeating the homophobe.
This ad is 15 seconds. Just enough time for a Clorox disinfectant.
Okay, I need to switch music real fast before it plays a Sonic video essay from autoplay. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. I'm giving this to Kana, just because I believe in the LGBTQ community. I don't think that's enough for Clown to win, though. Homophobia wins in the US. I should have cut that out. Okay, I think Manga Racing does win here. Conti's versus Mystia. Going by... Mystia does own a band. I think that would give her a slight edge. Marissa's father figure versus... who is theoretically Alice's mother figure. I think Rinnosuke wins. Takane? I think Takane... Yeah, I think with the black market incident, even against a manager Makai, I think Takane is going to win this. Lyrica again. Lyrica is a schemer. She gets people to do things for her. She is built for chess. Shinki beats Tojiko, though. Moon Princess beats Tojiko. I think Tojiko beats Satano. We know nothing about Orange. Renko's smart. Miko is like thousands of times smarter. I think Renko is smart enough to see past anything Mioi can do, though. So's Giku. Naz would probably be able to get through Mioi's ability. Louise definitely would not. I think even Shen could beat Louise. Louise loses to a lot of people. Raiko's pretty bold. Again, I think out of anyone, Shikieki, she judges everyone. I don't think she would have much to say about Raiko. But in a game of chess, I think from intelligence, Shikieki wins this. Nagetsu manages a world. Raiko has traveled between worlds. I will give this to Raiko. Tsukasa versus Mugetsu. Yeah, Tsukasa is a trickster. I think that would give Tsukasa the edge here. Hina versus Mugetsu. There's bad luck against the manager of a world. I'm giving this to Mugetsu. I would say bad luck would counter Sho, though. Unzan versus Sho. Sho's smarter. Unzan's clumsy. They both come from this... Or no, Sho's clumsy, but smarter. They both come from the same faction, so they would theoretically play similarly. They'd probably play a lot. I'm going to give this a tie. I think Mike is smarter than Kurumi. Inoroka is probably smarter. Honestly, I don't know much about Kurumi. I will reiterate again, Rikoto's broken, so she's probably not winning chess. But Shion literally cannot win, no matter what she does. Shion is always going to lose. Nitori, insanely smart, she's winning. Kaneko versus Maribel. Mary's smart. Kaneko's still winning this. Maribel versus Kaguya. I think Kaguya meets her match here. I think Maribel does win this. Good luck versus a fair amount of skill. I'm going to say Reimu takes it, but just barely. Then Yuyuko versus Kaguya. I think Kaguya wins. I think Kaguya would be slightly more motivated to win. Yuyuko versus Nima. Yeah, Yuyuko probably wins this. Nima wins. Kag probably wins against the cow. Yatsuhashi is a bit too emotional. I will give Medicine this. She is one of the only characters smart enough to take the word Shikieki says to her to heart. She's one of the only characters to change her ways because of what the Yama tells her. I think that takes guts and wisdom, so I would give Medicine a slight edge here. I still do not think Mai is going far. Even still, she's probably beating Ellis. I don't know if anyone... Okay, so Fortune Teller, the literal dead guy, is going to lose to him. Yugi wins here. Mimi does not have hands. Mimi doesn't have hands. Evil Eye Sigma is just an eye. But the thing about Mimi is I'm pretty sure Mimi's eyes are drawn on fake. I don't even think Mimi can see the board. So, even though they technically can't move the pieces, I think, just by definition, Evil Eye Sigma would be better. This is a battle of titans. This is a battle between two of the smartest people in Gensokyo. Tay sets so many traps, it's insane. But theoretically, considering that Patch is from the West and she's been playing chess before, she would probably be able to see through Tay's traps. I feel like that would counter each other out. So, Tay's trickiness versus Patchoulie's previous knowledge of chess, that counters each other out. And you're left with the crazy match that goes back and forth, and you don't know who's gonna win. But I think in the end, because she has Aaron to practice with, Shay is able to win this. Kosuzu again is really smart, but I think Patch would still be smarter. I think Kosuzu would lose to Kane, because someone mentioned before, Kane is a teacher. I feel like Kosuzu is that target demographic for who she would be teaching. Raisin versus Kosuzu though, I think Kosuzu would be smart enough. Keiki versus Raisin. Keiki's pretty smart. I think Suika would be smart enough to beat Raisin. Moko versus Raisin. Moko's been alive forever. Raisin does have some knowledge. I think I'm gonna give this to Moko. I might say this is a tie. Again, Raisin does go through okay. Like, that does take some degree of intelligence, and Raisin can practice against Aaron, so she would be pretty good. I'll say tie. June versus Murasa. June's pretty tricky, but they were both at Myorin Temple. It is reasonable to assume that Byakuren could have taught Murasa how to deal with June's tricks. So, like, let's say they were all playing chess together. I think Murasa would know how to counter June. Because once you do find June, the counter to June, she just automatically loses in 15.5. I don't think we see much from Kokoro in terms of planning, but she does have a mother figure in terms of Miko. And from there, I think with Miko's help, I think Kokoro would be able to take the game here. June wins against the cat, though. I'd be inclined to say even Eiko wins against the cat. But would Orin win against Waka? Waka is part of the grassroots yokai network. Orin is a literal cat. I would give this to Waka. Moon Princess versus Moon Tactician, basically. I think Sagame wins. Moon Princess versus Goddess of Hell. I do think Hecatea would probably be smarter. Moon Princess versus Great Engineer? I would give this to a Moon Princess. I would say the Engineer is probably smarter than Makai's maid. Yakurin versus Yumeko? This is probably really, really close. I'm going to give this to Yakurin. Mayumi versus Yumeko. Both trained by people. I think Keiki is probably smarter than Shinki. I would give this to Mayumi. Again, Ringo's smart to leave the moon. I think Yumeko still has an edge here. Sanyo, again, as we established, Sanyo is a gamer. Gamers don't like losing. Ringo. Practice with Lyrica versus knowledge to leave the moon? Maybe knowledge to leave the moon, I'd give that to Ringo. I don't think Ellie's able to win much. She might win against Wriggle, though. Dayusei versus Wriggle. Dayusei's not winning much. Dayusei could win against Yuki, though. I will give her that. I think Dayusei is technically not canon. I'm basing it a bit off of fandom here, but I like to think Dayusei is a bit smarter than all the rest of the fairies. Kikuri, I don't know much about. I don't know much about either of these. Where does my mouse stop? Kikuri. Fudo loses to the form of checkmate every time. I think even against Shinyomaru, Fudo is going to lose. There is nothing Fudo can do to counter anything. That is my proposal. Alice versus Mamizu. I've stated before, Alice is, like, primed for chess. She'd do really, really well. This is Mamizu we're talking about. I could have tied them. Maybe I'll tie this one. Yumemi versus Hatate. Again, Hatate's a schemer. Yumemi's really smart. The difference is, I think Yumemi's intelligence over Hatate is, like, really, really, really vast compared to, like, Yumemi's last match. I think Yumemi wins. Hatate definitely beats Sakuya. I think Ron beats Sakuya. I think Tenchi's luck would be enough to get through Sakuya, too. We don't know much about Sario, though. Then Seiya, we just never know what to do with Seiya, because it's Seiya. Seiya is such a wild card. I don't know if Sario has any exploitable weaknesses, so I'll give this to Sario. Seiya's such a wild card, I'd probably put her as losing to most people. Just because she'd either lose on purpose. No, I would say a fairy would want to win. She would just totally destroy the fairy because she feels like it. Then again, Parsy's just sorting through jealous thoughts all the time. Sekibanki. Lily's more determined. She wouldn't care about chess, though. This is Eternity's. We're at the bottom, aren't we? For as much as Cherno is called stupid, I think she is slightly smarter than most of the fandom makes her out to be. I think that would indeed give her a very, very slight edge against Lily White. Erin's insanely smart. Momiji is designed to be good at chess. This is a battle of the Titans. From bias, I would just say Momiji, I think. I don't know who wins this, honestly. I do not want to do a tie for, like, the top 4, though. So... I do not know what to do. Facho says Erin... Yeah, I think putting my bias aside, Erin probably is indeed that smart, so... I'll say Erin. I think Momiji does beat Yukari, though. I think Kassen beats Yukari. I think Kassen's able to see a bit farther ahead in Wild and Horn Hermit than Yukari is at points, so I would give this to Kassen. Q is really smart. Yukari has been described to have a supercomputer brain. Yeah, Echo says Erin is literally 1,000 times as smart. You're right, but Momiji can see 2,000 Ri ahead, and that translates into chess gameplay. So her brain power to like, see chess moves ahead to come up with the right moves, it's able to match Erin. Sumi Recto's smart. I don't think she's smart. Point device chess. That kind of exists to a certain point, I guess against computers. I think Akyu wins. This is interesting! Sumi Recco was kind of like a modern version of Chiuri. So from that perspective, their intelligence might be similar. But Chiuri is a college student, despite being the same age as Sumi Recco. I think because of that, Chiuri wins. I think Sumi Recco would pull off some really weird psychic powers stuff to beat Yachi, but I do think she would win against Yachi. Yachi wins. Again, here's my explanation for Yoshika. Either she's under the control of someone who's really smart, or she is herself, who is a very smart person. So I think Yoshika does beat Marissa. I think Marissa beats Chibata, because Marissa's canonically beaten Chimata twice. That is in fighting, but she's smart enough... Both times, she's smart enough to execute the proper plans to beat Chimata. She's able to do it without the item cards based on her own abilities. I'd give it to Marissa. Chimata beats Kokuma. Kokuma beats Remilia because Kokuma is working directly under Patch, and Patch is really smart. Again, I think Remilia does have the ability to manipulate fate, is the thing. But in chess, there's not much you can change because it's a very exact game. Which is why I don't think your ability matters that much. She might beat Seiran. Seiran wins here, though. Kogasa, I think you finally have another victory. I hope you're happy. Koishi's not winning against many people. Okina is a schemer. Rikako is really smart. On a given day, anyone could win this. I will give the edge to Okina. Seiga is another schemer. But I think the difference here is Rikako's intelligence is probably greater compared to Okina. I'm going to give this to Okina. Or not Okina, to Rikako. Genji is too wise to get smart, to get out-tricked by Seiga. Genji's winning this. Seiga would be able to outsmart Narumi, though. Narumi versus Aya? I think Narumi's smart. I think Aya would have the edge here from all her newspaper business. Flan versus Narumi. Narumi's a magician. I think this wins. I do think Flan is just smart enough to beat Ichiran, though. And Nui is probably a better trickster than Ichiran is. Junko is pure rage. I think she would lose focus. I think Ichiran does win here. I would give Junko this. I've played a lot of Touhou 3. I don't know much about Kana, is the thing. It takes a lot to lose to Utsuso. Yeah. Bird versus Bird. Bird with a band versus Bird with nuclear power. I would give the win to Bird with band. I think Clown would still lose. Someone mentioned they think Star would probably outsmart the fairies. I think that's a fair assessment. I think Ryunosuke has finally met his match. He is not winning against Miko. I do not see that happening under any circumstances. I think he would be smart enough to beat Renko, though. Takane would too, because of all the black market shenanigans. Lyrica is a schemer, Lyrica's winning this. Renko would beat Shinki, though. It comes to a point where, yeah, Shinki is a ruler, but at a certain point she is going to just lose. Naz wins. Nioi has her ability. Tojiko is fairly close to Miko. I think this would give her enough wisdom to beat Hong Mailing. Ben wins. Cat beats Free Will. I'm going to say Louise probably loses here. But Louise wins against Orange because we do not know anything about Orange again. Orange can beat a literal bird brain, I would guess that. Mitori has done some bad things. Shikieki would judge her. But, in a game of chess, Shikieki know what Mitori wants to do. I think based on intelligence, Mitori probably wins a game of chess against Shikieki. I think Shikieki would be smart enough to beat Kaneko, though. Kaneko versus Raiko, I think Kaneko wins from intelligence. I think Raiko would lose to Maribel. I think Maribel would be pretty good at chess. Reimu's luck would probably give her an edge against Raiko. And I think Kaguya probably beats Raiko from a knowledge perspective. I think Raiko would be able to beat Yuuko in a game of chess, though. Tsukasa, again, Tsukasa's a trickster, Tsukasa's winning. Getsu rules a world, but Yukiko's really smart. I'm tying this. I think Mima's able to counter Hina's bad luck. I think Hina's able to counter Kag, though. I don't think Kag is getting past the bad luck. Sho's clumsy, but she's smart. Mickey rents a store. Kag wins here. Urumi probably wins. I talked about how Medicine's smart enough to listen to Shikieki. And Gatsuhashi is too emotional. We don't know anything about Kisame, though. Ellis isn't winning from what we've discussed. But Sarah is also really stupid. I'll tie that. Robot versus robot. Except one of the robots is explicitly broken. Would a dead person lose to the robot? I'm going to go on a limb and say, yeah, I do think a dead person would lose to a broken robot. I don't think the dead person I think the dead person is going to win against Shion, though. I don't think Shion can do anything. Even against someone with no hands, I think Shion's going to lose. Even against someone with no eyes, I think Shion is going to lose. Tei versus Sagame? This is a matchup that's really, really interesting. You have the smartest person on the moon. So you have like a Lunarian representative versus an Earth representative of the Earth Rabbits. Like, both of these represent so much. But in the grand scheme of things, I do think Tei would take the edge very slightly. And I think this is another really close match, but because of possible prior knowledge of chess, I would give this to Patch. I do think Sagame is smart enough to beat Kane, though. I also think Hekatia is smart enough to beat Kane. And I think Toyohime is smart enough to beat Kane. I think Rika... Teachers are smart. I think the engineer might be smarter. I think Kane beats Byakuren, though. Kosuzu probably beats Byakuren. Keiki probably beats Byakuren. Suika and Byakuren? Suika only like people who are honest with their emotions, which Byakuren very much is. I think from that, this might be a tie. Because I think they would complement each other really nicely. Mayumi does have knowledge from Keiki, but Moko's been alive for a long time. I think Moko's had a lot of time to reflect. I would give the victory to Moko. Yuma manages beasts. Mayumi I do think would win here, though. The right hand to Makai probably beats what Aqua calls the right hand to Mioran Temple. Sanyo is a gamer, as established. Gamers don't lose. I would give it to Ringo, based off our prior conversations about Ringo abandoning the moon. I don't think Merlin's winning much, just because Merlin is so emotional. She would probably beat the cat. I think Ellie beats the cat. Bug beats the cat. This happy dog. Well, dogs. She's technically like a yap. I forget what her species is. She's not technically a dog, but like... It's like a dog against cat. I would give it to the dog. The thing about Byakuren for me is, I view her as a character who is very much motivated by her emotions. And from that sense, I think she is very in tune, which is why I think so many people respect her. So that's why I would give the edge to Byakuren. I'm going to go ahead and say Daiusei is smart enough to beat up Orin. Or to beat Orin in a game of chess. I'm going to say that. I think Orin probably beats Yuki, though. These are characters who are both primed to being tricked, because they're both so simple-minded. This is a tie. Yugen Magen, say it with me, doesn't have hands. So I said Futo always loses to the 4-move checkmate. If Yugen Magen doesn't have hands, it physically cannot win in 4 moves. Futo could theoretically use the 2-move checkmate and win. Maybe she moves the pieces for Yugen Magen by default. I think Futo finally has a win here. As much as Alice is good at chess, I think Aaron's easily going to take this. I do think Momiji also beats Alice, just from prior knowledge. But I do think Alice would be good enough to beat Kassen, just because this is something she cares so much about. And I think Kassen would beat Umemi, because again, I don't think Umemi necessarily cares about traditional shows of knowledge like chess. Yukari has a supercomputer brain. but I think he would get disinterested in the game. This is a tie. Actually, I don't think we can have a tie this high up. I will give this to Yukari. I will give this to Aku. I would say their knowledge, I think Liam's probably smarter, but I think Aku would probably care more to win. So I'll give this to Aku. Chiuri is not beating Yumemi. She is not. These two kind of look similar with the diary art style. It's almost like looking at a doppelganger. Maybe that's who the second Chiuri is. I think Hitate wins from her schemes. I think Chiuri is smart enough to beat Ron. Hot take, I think Sumireko was smart enough to beat Ron. Because she's able to figure out how to get into Gensokyo all by herself. And she's an Usami. I think she's just going to beat Ron in this situation. I think Yashi would... Nah, I think Yukari knows what's up. I think she makes sure her Shinigami know what's up. I think Ron's going to win. Okay, Yashi versus Tenchi. Tenshi's really lucky. I think this is the limit of Tenshi's luck as to who she could get against. I think Yashi would win here. I think Tenchi might be able to overpower Yoshika. I think Yoshika would still beat Sakuya. Marissa and Sakuya are both so weird that it's hard to determine who would win between the two of them. They would just both throw out the most wacky moves. Like, Marissa would open with A4 and somehow turn that into an advantage. Because Marissa is technically one more against Sakuya, which does involve a bit of wits, I'm going to give this to Marissa. Shimata probably beats Sakuya. I think Sakuya is probably a bit smarter than Saki. We don't know enough about Sariel to say she could win. We know enough about Remilia to say she would probably lose against people. I think Namuno Remilia would probably have a slight edge there. Again, if Ringo's smart enough to abandon the moon, so say Ron. Kogasa, I'm very sorry again. Kogasa wants to win, so Seijo wins to make her sad. Mai is... I would feel so sorry if Mai offered to work with Kogasa. Kogasa would get betrayed so fast, it would be so sad. If you're talking about the music, this is Fall Fall. Kogasa is not beating Parsi. Parsi's too smart. Sekibanki versus Kogasa. Friend versus friend. Yes, this is canon because Ayu Asuma drew them together just because she could. The song is Fall of Fall from Touhou 10, which is stage 4. It's probably my personal favorite song. This is not a good day for Kogasa. Tie. Oh yeah, explained this before, so Koishi doesn't have the Koishi, from her unconscious stream of thoughts, I don't think she can literally process a full game of chess. Miko versus Okina? Okina schemes a lot, but I think Miko was so smart that Miko would win this match. I think this would be a great chess match right here, but I think Okina would inevitably win. I'm going to say... I think we're also too far for tiebreakers, too far up. I will give this to Rina Nosuke. Nakane planned an entire incident on her own. I think Rikako is smarter than Lyrica. Whereas I said before, I think Genji would be able to outsmart some tricks. I think Lyrica represents the new generation. I think Lyrica has some bold ideas that would catch Genji off guard. I would give this to Lyrica. Renko would be ecstatic to play against the Talking Turtle. But I think the Talking Turtle would still win. I think Seigo would win against Renko. I think Renko would get tricked. I think Aya wins against Renko. I do think Renko wins against Narumi, though. I would give the Narumi the win against Iku. Iku probably wins against Flan. Flan wins against Shinki, since Shinki wasn't able to... If Shinki manages the country, though... I'll still say Flan, just because. I think Shinki beats Nue. Moon Princesses are really smart. Nazrin is pretty smart. Nioi has her ability. I think Nioi sees through it. What is happening? Well, we're ranking how Touhou characters would do at chess. 71% of the way through. Almost there. So for Mioi, I was saying before, Mioi kind of has her ability to, like, make people hallucinate. I think that would interrupt the flow of the game. I think that would let her win against Ichirin. Ichirin studies directly under Byakuren. Tojiko studies directly under Miko. I think Tojiko wins. Tong Mei Ling can practice with Patch. I think Patch wins. I think it takes a lot for Benmin to win. Munasa, probably not. Probably. It takes a lot to lose Chen. Sorry. Sorry, gay people. Manga Racing's still building up her own intelligence. Shen's able to be fairly intelligent on her, fairly independent on her own. I think in chess that's very important, because again, you need to not just be glued to, like, the books. You need to know when to improvise when you don't see something. I would give this to... maybe Satano, honestly. Louise probably gets distracted by the fact she's playing against a rabbit. I do think Louise wins against a bird brain. We don't know anything about Orange. I don't think Orange loses to the fairies. Kataka versus Star Sapphire. Star Sapphire is smart enough to mail a pipe bomb, probably. I don't think Kataka is that smart. Maybe Star Sapphire wins this one. I don't think Clown wins. Tei versus Nitori. Here's the thing. Tei and Nitori are both crafty. Unlike Tei going against another smart person, she's going against another smart person who also thinks a bit in tricks. Like, they both think about how to get money. But I think Nitori is probably a bit smarter, so I would say Nitori wins against Tei. Shikieki tricks Tei into pretty much almost poisoning herself. I think Shikieki's one of the only people who's kind of outwitted Tei in that sense. So I would give this to Shikieki. Tei beats Kaneko, though. Patch beats Kaneko. Sagume beats Kaneko. Kaneko's smart, but she is not one of the smartest people, is the thing. I think even Riko could beat Kaneko. Like, in terms of intelligence, I think saying Kaneko is about as smart as Kane probably isn't that far off. Kane might be slightly smarter. I would say this is a tie. Gosuzu's smart, but I think Maribel has... I think Maribel's more mature, so that would give Maribel the win. She'd be able to keep her cool in a game better. Kosuzu versus Reimu. Again, Reimu's lucky. That would carry her through, like, a bunch of beginning moves, but I think Kosuzu inevitably wins. I think Keiki's too smart. Reimu's luck might be good enough to get past Byakuren, though. I will say that. I think Reimu probably wins that. I think Kaguya also wins against Byakuren, because again, trained by Eren, and as mentioned by other people, she'd probably be another one of Gensokyo's gamers. And it's hard for gamers to lose. This is total bias. I think Reiko wins. Reiko's too cool to lose this. Tsukasa's a trickster. Byakuren sees through Tsukasa's tricks. Byakuren, I think I would give this to Byakuren. If she's able to see through June, I think she can see through Tsukasa. I think Tsukasa could trick Moko, though. Moko and Yuuko are both people who've lived long lives. The difference is Moko's reflected. I think Yuuko's probably smarter. I think Moko would care more about a game of chess. I'll say this is a tie. Mima is a magician, she trained Marissa. She has to be pretty smart to do that. I will give this to Mima. Bad luck versus managing a portion of hell. I will give this to Yuma. Mayumi versus Hina. Again, Hina has bad luck, so she'll make people who play against her unlucky. Mayumi's trained under Keiki. That makes her pretty smart. Made to manager Makai. Sanyo is a gamer. So at this point, we're starting to run into some patterns, so hopefully we can speed this up a bit. I do think even with the foresight to leave the moon, Hina's probably still a bit smarter than Ringo here. This might be a tie, because, yeah, Sho's clumsy and smart, Ringo's smart enough to leave the moon, but we don't know much about her besides that. I think Murasa beats Mike. Yeah. I give Mike, again, I give Mike the edge against lower characters because Mike knows how to manage a shop, and that has to count for something. Can't wait for June versus Hina. I do have something for that, and I'll get to it. Agoru versus Eika. I'll give this to Eika, because again, chess is a childhood game, so I think that does have something. Laka versus Kagoru. I would say Waka's probably a bit smarter. Because Kagoru gets a bit worried from the full moon, maybe. I don't know. Maybe this one's a tie. They'd fit tied together. Merlin has practice from Lyrica, but Arumi's fairly smart. Like, she's able to keep her cool. Again, I talked about how medicine, like, listens to Shikieki and that takes guts. I do think Merlin beats Minaroko. Ellie probably beats her. Rigo probably beats her because of the controlling bugs thing. I think Kyoko wins, just because Kyoko's, like, ready to win. Hell, I think Dayuse even wins here. But she does beat a cat. Spider versus cat. I am biased, but I have just spent, like, an entire 3 days, 2 weeks ago, making a game about the spider. So I do believe that the spider will win here. Again, I think Yatsuhashi is too emotional. Two emotional people. But I think Yatsuhashi is more grounded here, so I would give her the win against Yuki. I will give Mai that, at least. Give me a second. I think the music stopped playing. There we go. Yuki versus Kisame. I think even Yuki can beat someone in the bucket. Kikuri versus Kisame. We don't know enough about Kikuri to see who would win that. So, is there anything to Orin? She likes Reimu. She likes collecting skulls. But yeah, a lot of the thing about Orin is the fact she's just a cat. So then Sukuna I'm going to go with the thing again where Since Sukuna could disguise herself as a piece, she could theoretically take a win here. Honestly, I think Momoyo's so dumb she's going to lose this. Momoyo versus a robot. A broken robot. I will give this to Momoyo. Just because the robot would lose on its own before Momoyo can lose. But, since Fudo loses to the 4-move checkmate no matter what, I do think that even the robot can beat Fudo. But Fudo, if Fudo plays against a dead person, the dead person's not going to be able to move. So, I will give this to Fudo. Yugen Mangin doesn't have hands. This is 5 Eyes versus 1 Eye. I think 5 Eyes would do... I think 5 Eyes would do better. This, in my opinion, is probably the #1 matchup. CDS, that's fair. I haven't read, like, much of CDS, so I could be missing stuff. May have to redo this later. Okay, I want to get chat's input for this. Between Miko and Aaron, who would win? I would be inclined to say it could go either way. I think Miko's wisdom. I think Aaron is smarter. But I think Miko's form of wisdom lends itself much better to chess. Especially since Miko is focused on collecting power. And chess is a game about essentially having either more material than your opponent, or outmaneuvering your opponent to make them lose. I think in that sense, Miko's more dedicated. But Aaron, again, Aaron is also way smarter. And she has tactical experience with the Lunarians. So... she is speculated to be the goddess of wisdom. So yeah, it is that thing of... Could Aaron even end up in a situation where she might lose? And I do not want to do a tie because... Not just the moon, Aaron is theoretically the smartest person in the universe. That is how smart she is. But I think Miko cares more about winning the game. And because of that, Miko would know more theory. So even with base knowledge... Yeah. So I will say Miko would do better, but only because of that. But I do think Aaron beats Okina, just because Aaron is that smart. I think this is another really close one, but I would actually give the edge to Momiji here. I do think Okina is way smarter, but I do think Momiji's ability to see ahead would put her on equal terms. And because she's so acquainted to a similar game to chess, I do think Momiji would win from her shogi experience. This is another really close battle. I think Alice is used to dealing with tricksters, though. I mean, she hangs out with Marissa all the time. So I do think Alice would take the edge here. Okina and Kassen both know each other. Kassen thinks Okina is annoying. I think Okina... If Okina annoys Kassen... If Okina annoys Kassen, I think that's something to say, like, oh, she's probably, like, done some stuff behind Kassen's back without her noticing. So in a chess game, I think she would be able to outsmart Kassen. Rinanosuke is smart. I do not think he's beating the Sage of Gensokyo. And with that logic, I think he also loses to Yukari. I think Rinanosuke versus Akyu is a really close match. Akyu has more knowledge. And in that sense, I think Akyu takes this. Yumeimi versus Rinanosuke is another really close one. Again, it's a thing where Yumeimi is way smarter, but... She doesn't care about traditional shows and knowledge, whereas Rinanosuke is probably decently into chess. So I would give this match to Rinanosuke. Takane solved the incident, but Yumemi is, like, so much smarter than her. I think an incident is more impressive than Hatate's newspaper schemes. I think engineering is probably also more impressive. I think this is a tie. I think Lyrica's schemes and Hatate's schemes cancel each other out. Chiuri's smart. Chiuri is not winning against Genji. There's no way. It's Genji. Chiuri's also young. She can be tricked. Seigo wins there. I think in a game of chess, Chiuri would beat Aya, because I think Chiuri is more suited for the game. Hello, Zed Sable. I think Sumireko beats Aya too in that regard, because, again, Aya's crafty, but I think in a game of chess, like, Sumireko would be more focused. Like, I think she would know what to do. Ron's really smart. I do feel like the Bunrun Mario would probably be able to navigate itself against Beast Hell. I would give this to Aya. I think Renko could just beat Yachi in a game of chess outright. Like, Renko's just smarter. At least in chess. Like, Yachi's probably smarter in practical things, but I think Renko is probably smarter in other areas. Narumi's smart. I think Yachi just about takes that. I think Narumi is probably the very limit of who Tenshi's luck can beat, so I would give Tenshi this. I will say this. Yeah. Sure, Flan beats Yoshika, why not? Moon Princess wins. I do think Yoshika beats Nazrin. I think Marissa beats Nazrin, though, because Nazrin runs away from Marissa. I think Marissa would be able to outsmart her, despite Nazrin being pretty smart on her own. So, chess used to be a game from... I think from what my teacher told me, chess was a game from India. And that game ended up, like, turning into a ton of different games. So, that one game in Japan became shogi, and in other parts of the world became chess. The way this is going is, we're pretending like chess mysteriously landed in Tokyo, and this is based on how good everyone is after a month. I would give Nazrin the win over Sakuya. I don't know, I feel like Sakuya's probably smart enough to see through Nue, so... in a game of chess, would that work? Maybe. Maybe Sakuya can see through Nue's, like, traps. Like, maybe Nue has a stupid sacrifice that doesn't work. I think Sake can see through Nue. Again, Kawakuma is right under patch. She'd probably be pretty good. We don't know enough about Sariel to say someone as smart as Nue could lose. I do think she could get through Mioi's ability, though. I think Mioi wins against Vermilia just from base chess skill. Like, putting Mioi's ability aside, I think she still wins. I think Dojiko wins, because I think Vermilia is probably really bad at chess based on her personality. I think Mei Ling wins. I think Ichirin wins. I think Junko wins. I do not think Vermilia is winning that many games at chess. Like, there is not much she can do. I do think she is good enough to beat Chen. I will give her that. Oh yeah, spaghetti thing. I talked about that earlier, which is... Sakuya could theoretically freeze the board. But I don't think Sakuya is good enough at chess to take full advantage of that to see the right moves. So that would give her an advantage, but I do not think it would be enough for her to, like, completely dominate. Yeah, Seiren's smart enough to leave the moon. Muno tries to trick people to come. Yeah, Remilia's the type of person to, like, she thinks a pawn is hanging, she takes it with her rook, and then it turns out there's a fork or something. Like, she falls for those types of traps all the time. Chen wants to win, so Seija wins to make her feel bad. Mai's a trickster. Mai's winning that. Parsi. Parsi again. Parsi thinks through, like, a bunch of jealousy. Like, she has so many thoughts going around. She would be good at chess. Seki Banki. Seki Banki has to live with the village disguise. I feel like she has to anticipate how things are going, so that anticipation translates well to chess skill. Ellen has a cat who can counter Chen as a cat. 2 plus 2 is greater than 1, so I think Ellen wins. I think it takes a lot to lose against Eternity. Like, I think it takes a lot to lose against Eternity. It is very hard to lose against Eternity. As I think Jacoder brought up before, Star Sapphire probably beats all the other fairies. It takes a lot to lose against Eternity, but I feel like it would also take a lot to lose against Clown Piece. Even Kogusa is going to be Clown Piece, I feel like. Seki Banki, like, Yuffie, is that what you're talking about? Again, Koishi, consciousness cannot comprehend a full game of chess. Miko's smarter than Nitori. The other Miko matches are hard. I think this one's no contest. Neither is this one. Nitori's smart. I think Momiji is just good enough at chess to beat Nitori. Yeah. Like, this is where Nitori, I feel like she starts losing games. She was doing really well before. I do think... Because, like, with Okina, it's like, okay, Okina, like, schemes all the time. So does Yukari, but, like, Okina's a professional schemer. Oh yeah, I explained this before. One of Momiji's character traits is she's really good at shogi, which is a game based on what chess used to be. And her ability is to see 1,000 ri ahead, so, like, she is practically designed to be good at games like chess and shogi. So, that's why I think Momiji is one of the top players of chess. Yeah, even though Yukari schemes, I do think Nitori is so smart that Nitori would be able to win against Yukari. Judge, jury against Sage against Sokyo. This is a pretty close match. Yeah, I would say Yukari might be smarter. But Shikieki... I think Aku is also smarter. Shikieki might have, like, the morals, but what good is that going to do you in chess? I mean, Bobby Fischer was world champion, and he was an asshole. Can Rinanosuke beat Shikieki? Hot take? I think he could. Because again, chess is, like, totally his type of game. I think Yumeimi also wins. What? Kasen Zenoni? What are you talking about? She's a hermit. What? I think from her training as a hermit, Kasen would be pretty good at games. And I think from her work as a sage of Gensokyo, I think because of that, Kasen is also, like, really good at planning things, which is important for chess. Again, Tay may have gone on a bit of a losing streak before, but Tay is terrifying. Tay is, like, so smart. I think even against a black market instigator, Tay is winning. I think Patch is winning because, again, Patch is probably knowledgeable at chess. I think Sagame wins here from her planning. I think Hekatiyo wins here just from being smart. I think the Moon Princess wins here. I think an Engineer wins here. But I do think because she's able to start a black market, Takane has an edge against Kaine. Rikako probably has an edge against Kaine too. Kaine's smarter than Lyrica, but I don't think it's like an exponential difference like some of the matches before. So I would actually give this to Lyrica, since Lyrica is based around being crafty. Genji and Kaine, honestly, I think this could be a tie, but I don't want to do a tie because these are some of the smartest people. So because of that, I'm going to give this to Kaine because Kaine is younger. So she's probably able to last longer, like she has more stamina for a game of chess. I do think Genji is smart enough to beat Maribel in a game of chess though. I also think Sega is smart enough to beat Maribel in a game of chess because she's a schemer. She's going to go for the gambits. Like, Maribel is going to lose against, like, the pressure. I do think Maribel is able to beat Chiuri, though. Kosuzu's probably also able to beat Chiuri. That's a hard one. I think Kosuzu studied so much, though, that she probably could get away with it. I think Chiuri is still a genius, though. We have to keep that in mind, because she is a 15-year-old in college. Because of that, I think she does beat Keiki. I think this is really close. Yeah, Maribel would be one, because, yeah, that's fair, because she theoretically comes from Ireland. But I feel like Genji is just really wise, so he'd be able to learn fast. So I will give this to Keiki, I think. Reimu's really lucky. Sumireko's smart. I think this is quite possibly the farthest Reimu's luck can carry her, like her intuition. I think she would have enough intuition to just about beat Sumireko. Sumireko versus Kaguya, though? I think this would be one of the greatest moments in Sumireko's life. I think Sumireko would be smart enough to beat Kaguya in a game of chess. Ron's really smart. Kaguya is more independent. I think Kaguya is able to think more for chess games. Again, she learns from Aaron, so I think that would give Kaguya an edge here. I do think Ron is smarter than Raiko, though. Raiko actually outwits Aya in Alternate Facts in Eastern Utopia. She tricks Aya into giving her and the Prison River sisters more news coverage by pretending the band is breaking up. So I think Raiko sees through any of Aya's tricks, so I would give Raiko the advantage here. The same thing with Byakuren. I feel like Byakuren could probably see through all of Aya's tricks, too. He placed a human over a supercomputer. Well, here's the thing. It's a supercomputer who would get bored. And that's also... I don't know if I would call Ron necessarily a supercomputer in terms of wisdom. Like, you could say that about Yukari. And yeah, maybe the lore says something. Just judging, I don't know if Ron would necessarily be that good. So Aya versus Tsukasa, we have two tricksters. Here's the thing, I think we've seen Aya land more successful tricks than Tsukasa does. Like, there's a thread by MCDT, I think that's their name, that I don't agree with fully, but they illustrate how, like, a lot of Tsukasa's plans don't necessarily come into fruition. It's like, she's a trickster, but her track record is a bit spotty, so maybe, I think Aya wins. I think Renko's probably just about smart enough to get past Tsukasa. The Beast Wars are already the super manipulative game. That's kind of a chess game in itself. There, I feel like Tsukasa would be able to weasel her way. In the context of a chessboard, I feel like that would translate well too. I think Yachi would probably know more than Moko. Tenshi would theoretically beat Moko. Narumi is a wizard, or a witch, she's smart. Iku's smart. Moku has the immortality, again, infinite reflection. She know her playstyle. Mima trained Marissa. Flan beats Yuma. I know this isn't power, but again, I think Flan is smarter than she lets on. Like, I think she knows more than it seems from her first glance. Shinki versus Yuma. Yeah, again, but with Ron It's like, part of that is the way Yukari describes her... The way Yukari describes her servants, it's meant to be a metaphor. It's like she says Ron has, like, bugs. So, like, when she says a supercomputer, or when the lore says supercomputer, it doesn't exactly literally mean a supercomputer. That's just how Yukari thinks of her servants. Shinki loses to the tourist agency, Yuma loses to the oil. This is a tie. Moon Princess wins. Again, I think a writer or a servant of one of the smartest Touhou characters wins. Again, I don't think chess necessarily meshes with Marissa's personality. I will go ahead and give this to Mayumi. I think Yumeko also wins from serving Shinki. Sanyo's a gamer. Gamers aren't gonna lose. I do think Marissa is smart enough to get past Hina's instant bad luck, though. So's Shimata. So's Naz. So's Sakuya. So's Saki. Yeah, bad luck is only going to get her so far. Bad luck versus hallucinations. I feel like Hina's probably already seen so much, like, messed up stuff that Hina, since she's the goddess of misfortune, that Hina would be able to get past Mioi. Mioi could theoretically traumatize Ringo with images of the moon, and that would be enough for her to win a game of chess. Tojiko trains under Miko. Mei-Ling trains under Patch. Ringo probably beats Ichirin even with Byakuren's help. Ichirin versus Murasa. Ichirin is foolish enough to think she and Futo are good enough to beat Jun and Shion on their own. She doesn't always think things through. And it's like Murasa knows she isn't able to do anything until 17.5, where the water's there and she's able to fight at her full potential. So because of that, I do think Murasa would win in a game of chess against Ichirin. Because she would not rush things, she's able to plan farther ahead. She's the one who leads the charge into Makai. That takes wisdom. Kokoro has Miko on her side. Jun technically beats Ichirin is the thing. So maybe because of that. If Jun was able to outsmart Ichirin once, I don't doubt she would do it again. I do think Ichirin would probably beat out Mike, though. Again, Junko's angry, but part of Lol K is her doing her plan, so she's able to do things fairly well, so I would put her against Mike. Lunasa against Mike, I think Lunasa has the Lyrica effect. I think Mike has the store managing to go against... Mike manages a store, so like, she has to keep track of things. I think that would give her an edge against Ben. Eika, my argument for that is chess is a game, games are associated with children, so I think Eika would be good at it. I think we know a bit more about Ben, which is a bit weird, honestly. I would give this to Waka. Yeah, I don't know if there's much... Merlin probably get too absorbed in stuff. I am sorry, gay people, once again. Okay, Remilia versus Merlin. Again, I've said Remilia can beat some people, but Remilia, just her personality, she's probably really bad at chess. And Merlin does have the ability to practice with Lyrica. It would be really good, so I think Merlin wins. I think Ellie definitely beats Remilia. I do think Remilia is probably good enough to beat Wriggle, just because Wriggle is so below. Seiran, again, smart enough to leave the moon. That takes wisdom. Muno, we don't know too much about. Seija is such a wild card, I don't know where to put her. I will do this randomly. I don't think Kyoko cares whether she wins or loses, so I don't think Seija can win against Kyoko. I'll say Seija would win against Daiusei, whatever that means. Again, Mai is a schemer. Like, against certain people, Mai is just going to win out. Parsi thinks ahead. She's within her own thoughts. Seki Banki. I think Seki Banki probably beats Daiusei. Ellen has 2 people. I do think Daiusei would just be smart enough to beat Chen, though. Chen beat Minoroko? Probably. Because Chen does manage Mayohiga, and she is a servant of Ran and Yukari. For those wondering why Mai and Satono are so low, I think because they're tied to Okina, they do not have much free will. But from what we see in, like, Touhou 16, we also don't really see them getting any of that wisdom, so... yeah, maybe this would be Minoroko. Again, I am biased for Yamane. Someone mentioned how Orin was able to do well in Team Detective Satori, so I'll give her some credit. This is a tie. Racing Manga probably just wins this barely. Again, I think Louise is pretty dull. I think Louise doesn't win against many people. It's very hard to lose against the birds, though. Sukuna... okay, so someone brought up this argument earlier. The reason Shinomaru could theoretically win is because she can disguise herself as a piece. So when a piece gets taken, she could take that piece's place on the board. And against an opponent like Mystia, that's going to work. So that's why Shinomaru wins against Mystia. These characters probably both forget. I'll say this is a tie. It takes a lot to lose against Oku, but Momoyo is really, really stupid. Star Sapphire... I would say Star Sapphire is probably just smart enough to beat Momoyo. And so's Kutaka. And Eternity. Kogusa definitely beats... huh. But here we have It's Spring. I think Momoyo might just do good enough to do good against Lily White. Again, even though Rakota's a robot, I think she is a broken robot. She's a broken chess AI. She is not winning. Yeah. But even a broken robot can beat someone who cannot process the game. Futo's probably able to win before the 4-move checkmate happens. I will give her the edge over Koishi. That being said, the fortune teller's dead. We have our final list. Okay. Let me set to normal zoom. How about top 8? That's like a chess tournament. So let's see. I will save this as an image and post it later. So we do have a tie for 8th actually, which is Nitori and Misumaru. But at the best for chess, we have... put 10, okay. The best for chess, we have Miko at 1, and Aaron at 2. I think that makes complete sense. Those could go either way, but that's good. Momiji at 3, Alice at 4. Again, I think Momiji goes far because Momiji's, like... Momiji's primed for shogi, so... I think that translates well to chess. Mamizu... oh, there's a tie between Alice and Mamizu. I think Mamizu at 4 also makes perfect sense, because Mamizu is one of the smartest characters in the series. And then you have Okina, Kasen, and Itori. All the sages in Ginsoki are in the top 10. The reason why Yukari... here's the thing. Yukari does not care about chess. Yukari would, like, get bored before playing the game properly. I think we already heard this song. Let me switch to a better song. I will switch to the winner's theme. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Nitori's really smart. I think Nitori does super well. Okay, and then, okay, Okina, yeah. Talked about that. Both sages are good. I would say, honestly, my biggest thing is I would probably put Yukari over Misumaru. But I do think Misumaru and Aku would probably be around the same, so that I do agree with. If we look further down, I think the point where we get to the end of people who would probably be really, really good at chess is number 17 with Sagume. I think 17 up, these would all be like international master, grandmaster level players. Like, they would be extremely good at chess, like, no matter what. Then you go down. From 17 to... I would say Kane would probably be my base for, like, a good player, but not, like, a super good player. So we have to find where Kane is. Kane is right above Reimu, which makes sense, because I would place Reimu around, like, 1300, maybe. Which is, like, good, but not, like, amazing. So 35 to, like... So, 18 to 35, these are people who do really good in super big tournaments. So, that's what I think. And then we have to find, like, another good border. I think 36 to probably 74. These are people around, like, I don't know, 1200 or under, probably. Maybe to, like, 800. That's how good these people are at chess. And after that, you kind of have people who just, like, casually are beginners. So I would say Hina and under. So 76 to 160. These would all be beginners in chess. That's what I think. Like, they'd either be beginners, or they would be people who just play casually. Meanwhile, this range, this is where you have your people who do play, like, competitively, and are pretty good, but they aren't, like, the best of the best. And then here, you have people, like, they have the potential to be the best. And then 17 to 1. These are the best people. These are the best chess players in Gensokyo. That's what I think. So yeah, that was my first stream. Oh my god, I had to talk for 2 hours and 20 minutes straight. My voice is so tired. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm pretty sure I had, like, at least 40 different individuals come onto stream, which was really fun. So, yeah. I'll switch to end stream later because I don't have the microphone audio set up, but I have a Discord server. If anyone here is good at chess and ever wants to play me, I am like 1500, so I'm pretty good. So if anyone wants to play me, just feel free to stop by, and I'd be happy to. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. This video should be up on my channel soon, and I will post the final Touhou sort to my Discord and my Twitter, and probably a community post too. So, yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll probably end stream now. Bye.